Hi, everyone. Lara Smedley, Camp Director here, and I am joined by Cathy Hawk and Jen Roth, and we have a special conversation to share with you today, and it is around the topic of what I wish I knew when I started my business. So I'm going to first have Cathy and Jen introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into more of that conversation. Cathy, would you like to go first?
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Cathy Hawk. I created Clarity International 30 years ago, and it is a coaching company. And the it came from my desire. I had a passion to find out my calling and to make sure that I was living my life on purpose. And I created my coaching company when coaching was a new profession. And I would say that a piece of advice I would say to all of you is, and what has kept me so lights on and energized for 30 years is the fact that I love my company. And when all the ups and downs and hard times, and they're always there as entrepreneurs, what has always kept me on purpose is my love, my passion for the work that I'm doing.
Awesome. Jen, how about you? Would you like to introduce yourself and share a little bit more about your entrepreneurial journey?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It's great to be here with you. I am Jen Roth. I have founded a company called Birds and Bees Teas, a tea company for fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum. Also great for immune boosting and sleep, as well as heartburn, things like that, but they're safe for pregnancy, so safe for everyone. I had the opportunity of getting to figure out that was my next step and build that company alongside Cathy, as I was a massage therapist prior, had built a massage practice, was burnt out and not as excited and lit up about life, knew that there was more to it, came across a clarity training and built my business, Birds and Bees Teas, through the clarity modality. So, as I've been going through and thinking, oh my gosh, what are some of the things that I wish I would have known early on? I was able to build it from a place of light and vitality and energy and a lot of curiosity, having tools to use along the way. And through the journey of building that company, I have also become a clarity coach, as I figured that is the thing that I'm the most passionate about, is helping other people figure out what really lights them up, what juices them from the inside out. And um, I would say my number one tip, piece of advice, is figuring out what your profits are from the get-go, from day one. And if you are not in some range of 30% plus, then go figure something else out or figure out a different avenue to it. In the handful of years growing these businesses, it's been really fun to see people at 50+%, 90% profit. And I didn't even know that was possible when I first started. And I did mine from passion for sure, with not a ton of profit. And it makes for a lot of challenges along the way. So I wish I would have really had the opportunity to have more conversations about that right from the get-go.
Yeah. I love that you both answered that question in that way because that ties together really a lot of what we are focusing on with camp moving forward is as entrepreneurs, we are a whole person, right? It is really difficult to separate the work that we're doing with the other aspects of our life. And so, how can we serve the whole entrepreneur? And Cathy, I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about the purpose piece, right? How did you, if there's any specific examples, really identify that purpose and then turn that into a business that was able, to Jen's point, be profitable for you for so long?
Well, the first thing, Laura, and I wanted to add on to Jen's. Once you know what you're passionate and purposeful about, and you feel it in your body, and I'll talk more about that because I think we all have a calling, a reason that we're here on earth. And I love entrepreneurism serves that so well because you can create what it is that you want to do and then sustain it and move with it. I mean, it's going to change and shift as the business grows, just like children. They need different needs at different stages, and finding your profit first is so important so that you're really paying yourself. And and your point, Lara, about entrepreneurs, we don't go home at 5 o'clock, clock out of something, and then we're off. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, it's when you're an entrepreneur, it is in your whole life, and that's something that you want to know, that you can do that you have that passion. And that's how I found my calling. I love helping people find out what they love to do and turn that into a business. And out of that, I've ended up writing 3 books. And when I started, that's following the energy. I didn't start out and say, oh, I'm going to have a coaching company. I know it's new. I'm going to get clients. It's going to make this much money, and I'm going to write books. No, I started with passion, direction, and purpose. And out of that, I saw the things along the way, the growth spurts that were necessary to be taken. And I delegated a lot. Point number 2, I get help when you need it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And delegation comes in different forms, right? That is, again, back to this whole person as an entrepreneur, really allocating your resources, right? Whether that's within your business or within your life. So that, I'm going to pose that question to both of you. How would you, in retrospect now, how would you have differently allocated your resources, which could be time, money, energy, emotional, physical, all of it, in that initial phase of your business? And why, right? What would you do differently and why, in order to hopefully, give somebody out there some insight into what they're experiencing today?
Well, I'll take that one because the first person I hired was my housekeeper. And because I had started in a home office. We do have had clarity centers over the years, but I sat there trying to focus on my company, and I'd be looking at the laundry piling up and everything, and I was like, I need to focus in order for this, and the help I need is this. So my housekeeper, and I interviewed her, and the first thing I asked her was why her purpose in doing it. And she looked at me, she said, I hate dirt. And I said, you are hired. And and so, and then of course, the other their technical accountants and what have you, things I don't enjoy the accounting and bookkeeping side of my company at all. And I realized that shortly and asked for help when I could afford it. As soon as that's my first one.
Yeah. Jen, how about you? How would you have differently allocated your resources in those beginning parts, if you now in retrospect, looking back?
Yeah, I would say for sure with time and owning your calendar. One thing that I didn't understand and or play with enough was building the muscle of that I truly own my time, feeling like I needed to be doing certain things, needed to be networking, needed to be putting all kinds of things and people and stuff on my calendar. And while all of those are helpful, what nobody knew as I transitioned from one practice and building of a business to another was that my calendar was pretty blank slate. Like I was the one creating it every day. I was the one figuring out, should I be batching time for tea? Should I be making things just in time? Like really trying to figure out what felt right. So I think some of the neat parts of clarity being in this is to figure out what part of the day you have the most energy and optimize during that time. Like for me, it's the morning. For a lot of people, it's night. And to honor and respect that and not question it and second guess it or do what other people are telling you to do, to really, really figure out what it is that works best for you. And time blocking and figuring out how to set an intention, a really strong intention for a certain amount of time. And I know right now for myself, if I don't turn on do not disturb and stop notifications, then I can allow that to run my life and hop from one thing to the next. So really being ruthless with your time and then putting yourself on there first. I wish I would have put myself in very specific places that I knew were going to be key for energizing me, for creating quality conversations. And I love people. So putting people on my calendar is not a challenge of mine. It's really choosing how to say no, thank you to certain things and then line up with what feels the most powerful and that I receive the best, most quality feedback from. So I would say mine is definitely a timepiece, and nobody knew that my calendar was empty. And I could say, well, I could see you anytime, but really it's like what's best for you and what's best for your business.
Yeah. I schedule my meditation, I schedule walks, and I schedule any type of exercise, right? Because I probably was very similar to what you're talking about, Jen. Like if it was free on my calendar, it was available, right? And not available to me, but available to any requests that were coming to me. And what happened was that I was filling my calendar, and that felt good because it made me feel busy, right? It made me feel needed and wanted versus actually being thoughtful about how I was spending my time so that I could be full myself and then serve my clients and the work that I was doing. And that was a super hard thing for me to grasp because I was in the hustle mode even sometimes today, in the hustle mode of like, get the thing done. And this is the next opportunity. So that I would be with you there, Jen, that would be one of those pieces of advice that I just wish somebody had a megaphone and was screaming it into my ear so that I could have heard it more clearly at the time.
And to build that trust with yourself too, right? Because we think that we need to go do something, or at least I have conditioning, which is jump now or it might disappear or something. And what is aligned isn't going to go anywhere. Those people who really want to work with you, they're going to be there. They're going to find a time. It's going to align with what works best for you. I'll never forget the first time I did a circle and I thought, oh my gosh, what's going to be the best for these clients? What's going to be the best for this time? And then I pause, stop. I know how to do this. What is the best for my energy? What's the best for my calendar? And then it was effort. It was completely effortless. Every single person said yes, which doesn't always happen, but there was so much alignment there. And I feel like when we build from that inside and we do put ourselves first and help with that whole person, right? Then we build from strength, not from
Yeah.
scarcity.
Yeah. Well, this direction of the conversation is actually making me think about the work that you guys do with clarity. And so either in the past or now, what pieces of advice or even a tool, because clarity is all about great tools, would you recommend to an entrepreneur? How do you center into what you know is right in your business or for your life when there is so much noise around us? What is a piece of advice you would give someone to help them center to make these decisions that are coming from a place of ease and light?
Well, from the first tool in clarity is always to figure out what it is that you want to do. So that's vision. And the how to is what supports that vision. And oftentimes we get so captured in the how to that we lose sight of the what. And I always say the first thing to do, and if whether you meditate or however you choose to do it, is that you go back to what is my purpose? And we have people be certain, they draw a map actually, so that they can see it. And we do it in the shape of a cloud, so that you've always got that cloud vision. So you can go back to that when things get crazy, because they will. And you can just say, is this aligned to that or not? Am I being distracted or not? And then get back. So to me, the key tool is focus on what lights you up, and do it as if your life depends upon it, because it does. And by your life, I mean your vital energy, the energy that you've got 24 hours of to allocate in a very purposeful way.
Mhm.
Yeah, and in that is getting to coach ourselves. So something that I absolutely love about Clarity is it is built on tools, like you're saying, Lara. And when you learn the tools, we get to coach ourselves. So I personally believe it's so important to have coaches, therapists, guides, community, a community like no other, at least for me personally. Um, but what do we do in the moment when somebody comes through our door and or we have a conversation with someone, or we look at our bank account and it's drastically different than what we anticipated it being? There's a real response that's happening physiologically in our body. So recognizing that, stopping, hitting the pause button, breathing first and foremost, if you can remember to do that. And something that we have learned through Greg Braden and many other people is like literally put your hand on your heart, take 5 deep connected breaths, or breathe in for the count of 4 seconds, hold for the count of 4 seconds, breathe out for the count of 4 seconds. Do that 3 times. And as soon as you can remember, right now it's so much fun to see it in sports psychology and everywhere in the world, is the power of mantras and our intention. What are we saying to ourselves in the moment? Are we running down that worst case scenario with all of our thoughts? Are we pausing, recognizing where we are, rapid discovery, rapid recovery? And then early on, a mantra of mine was trust. And I just say trust, 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 trust in as many different ways as I possibly could. Take 17 seconds to stop that neurochemical cascade from the negative into the positive and regain our center, right? So coming back. And another one that I say over and over again is love, peace, joy, harmony. And I want that for myself. I want that for the situation. I want that for the other person if I'm engaging in a different situation. And it really helps to drop ourselves back into our body and into our being. And so we work a lot with helping you figure out what is your mantra. You may already have one, fine tuning it, and then coming up with a longer one that's more intentional and aligned with your business. And so those would be 2 of the ones that now that I, thank goodness, due to community practice from remembering over and over again, have literally saved my life.
Yeah. So, as we kind of pull this conversation to a close, I'm actually going to pull a traditional camp activity, which is tied to clarity, which is one word. So, what would be, and you can elaborate on why you're choosing that word too, but what would be the one word similar to a mantra, or maybe this is the starter to getting towards your mantra? What would be the one word that you would pick right now, that you believe would support women who are on that start or that beginning phase of their entrepreneurial journey?
There's so many, the tool behind me. I would say trust yourself. And as Jen said, repeating it as many times as you need. The one word works because it's something in your brain called cognitive, it's precognitive priming. And just setting that one word, and as Jen brought in tool-wise, there's a 17-second span where all the cells in your body integrate that. 17 seconds is pretty doable, and no matter how busy or frantic you think you are, if you can say trust again, trust.
Mhm.
And then I also, after Jen answers, I thought of one other question that a mentor asked me that I had never thought about. If this is a good time,
Yeah, go
said,
ahead.
when I was starting, because I think everybody needs clarity, you know, the whole world. So of course, you know, that's a big market there. And he asked me, can you handle rejection?
Mm,
Entrepreneur. And I was like, oh, I would need to think about that, because I mean, can you imagine how many things that I've, you know, events and coaching that I've sold in 30 years? And I can tell you that I'm sure that as many people said yes, said no. And because it isn't, whatever you have, it isn't for everyone. And that goes back to all the things we learn about niche marketing. And, you know, that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is that if I'm focused on who it is, and I trust myself to know that if someone says no to me, that is because it's not about me. It's because it's not right for them. It's not a
mhm,
and so my answer when he asked me, can I handle rejection? And I was, yes, actually, I don't like it, but yes, I can handle it.
mhm. I love that. Thank you for sharing, because I think that's a really important piece. And my word is grace. And I think that ties back to this concept of rejection, right? Giving ourselves grace as entrepreneurs allows us to honor that real experience that we're going through. That I say my entrepreneurial journey has been the wildest roller coaster ride I have ever experienced, right? And the lows are really, really low, and the highs are really, really high, right? So the grace that I can give myself along that, and sometimes those highs and lows happen in the same day. Like it's wild how that experience can be such an emotional draw, and giving myself grace to experience things and honor myself has been my, like, hands down, the thing that I need to plaster in front of me everywhere that I go, just as that reminder.
Mhm.
Jen, what's your one word?
Oh my goodness, my mind is flooded with so many. Grace was one of them, so I love that. Trust is totally what got me through and gets me through a lot, and it's a flip from fear too, right? Um, Mine is definitely gratitude. So when I am in and on that roller coaster and not in that place of center, gratitude is what I learned to bring myself back faster than anything. I remembered that before I remembered my mantra. I remembered that before I remembered to go get my clarity tools out. And there was a person who shared a story along the way about going into their daughter's room, and there was complete like chaos everywhere. It was different than what they would have anticipated. And every time they go through a doorway, to pause and have something that they're grateful for. And that made a really big impact in my day to day, like something that I could practice on my own so that when business does have the wild ride, and I like to think of it as a teeter totter too. Like there's moments when we start to get into balance and then it goes right out of balance. And we really want to ride that teeter totter or that roller coaster because it is fun. And so, how to keep ourselves more grounded and centered during the ride so it doesn't feel like that high and that super low. Takes some time for sure for our bodies and our physiology to calibrate to that. And gratitude is what has I still lean in it and on it right now for blending, like gratitude for the sun that shines on our herbs that we get to use and the water that's in the planet and every single hand that touches all of the plants. And I have so much gratitude getting to work with our clients, getting to work with you, Laura, and your community and Cathy. And it it gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter every single day, and my depth of gratitude is so profound at this point in my life. And it was something so simple that helped me switch to begin with, and something I believe in more than anything now. So thanks for the
Yeah.
words.
Yeah. I appreciate. Well, Cathy and Jen, I really appreciate you spending a few minutes to share your experience and share your insights. And I just our ability to share and allow people to take what is going to be helpful for them on their own individual journey is so important. And I, hope that we can continue to have more conversations like this, because my personal goal is to turn what, Cathy, you've shared, 90% of startup businesses fail in the first year. My goal is to create this space and this community where we can create more success stories, that people have the foundational experience to really build this business that serves their life, and they have the community and the support system around them to do that. So thank you both.